welcome to third episode of How's Your Ground Game podcast. I'm here with Birdman, fourth degree Renzo Gracie black belt. I'm Damoon, brown belt under aforementioned Birdman.
Yes, sir.
How's it going down there in Florida, Vero Beach?
Hot and humid. How about
Hot
you?
and humid.
Hot and humid. I think everybody all around is hot and humid this week.
Yeah, I think we got it up in New York too.
Yeah. So, take what you got.
Absolutely. Do you enjoy training when it gets humid, or is there a certain point where you're just, I'm done?
I love it when it's unbearably hot and horrible and just terrible.
Back in the heyday when we had the yoga studio, right after they had their hot yoga classes, I really enjoyed that, but a lot of people don't like the heat.
I love it. Like down here, like I'm the only guy in Florida who runs a school and doesn't put the air conditioner on.
I wish I could do the same, but I think my students would kill me.
Sometimes you just gotta, man up a little bit. You gotta, take it.
You said it. We're putting it out there. Maybe,
When the body's warm, you get hurt less.
That's right. That's right. Some people are worried about heat stroke, but I mean, you die. It's fine. It only happens once, right?
I'm more worried about quicksand and shark attacks than I am heat stroke.
Fair enough.
Quicksand's a big fear of mine. So.
Fair enough. Last week, I tried to give you one of my hot takes on food. Opened up some discussions in school, but what I found is in the gym, you want to have people talking and schmoozing a little bit when they're like mindlessly drilling.
Yeah.
So you gotta be careful with what topics you introduce. You don't want to be talking politics. You don't want to be talking anything.
Nope.
So I found with certain hot takes on food, it's amazing how many people you can piss off with like just stupid opinion. Like if you say Thai food is overrated, man, like people lose their shit.
Are they from Thailand?
No.
Then what's their problem then?
It's New Yorkers. New Yorkers have a special relationship with Thai food. I don't know why.
I don't know either.
What food do you think is overrated right now in the cuisine metasphere?
Right now, all of it's overrated.
Okay, all of it is overrated. Yeah.
It's overpriced. It's overrated. It's overcooked. Overseasoned. It's just food out is just. I've been finding it's been horrible. Way overseasoned. Nothing. Bonnie's. Bonnie's is the one place that's not overrated.
Burgers and shakes, fries, right?
Easy, simple.
Dogs, onion rings.
Yeah.
I think food prices went up. People want to charge more in the restaurant, and they need to find some way to market it. So they're going to add like the whatever extra seasoning or spice to make it sound exotic.
Yeah. It's Cajun. Now they're selling Cajun fries for twice the price.
It's got Old Bay on it.
Everything has Old Bay on it now.
Yeah. I don't like Old Bay on fries.
I don't like Old Bay on anything.
That's we were eating out on Saturday and they brought a basket of burnt fries that had Old Bay on it. I was like, all right. Old Bay doesn't save it. That's not. You got to learn how to make French fries good, right?
Yeah.
We have this.
Make fries great again.
Make fries. That's gonna be a new slogan for the show.
Yes.
We were discussing before we got on your new shirt over there. Wanted to shout out Ewok.
The Gimme Project.
The Gimme Project. Look him up online. He's got some pretty cool shirts out there. If you guys can get a hold of one, they go quick.
Get them. Get them while they're hot.
But yeah, Ewok's has some amazing artwork. He's done artwork.
Killing it. These shirts are unbelievable. He's killing it out there. Fantastic shirts.
Awesome.
The colors, the fabrics, the details.
Awesome. Yeah. He's awesome human being and a very talented artist as well.
The best.
Shout out. He's been leaving comments. Nobody's leaving comments. Ewok sends us the love.
It's the best of the best.
The best of the best. Just wanted to look a little bit at some stuff going in the jiu-jitsu world. Something I found interesting is very recently, I think it's always happened, but recently more so, there's been a lot of fights breaking out at jiu-jitsu tournaments.
That's an old school thing. That's not a new thing.
I don't think these are old school guys that are doing it though.
Okay, what are the fights about?
I think it's just poor sportsmanship.
Okay.
One guy gets tapped. This happens. I think it kind of goes hand in hand with a little bit of the showboating and the celebrating, right?
Yeah.
Post Conor McGregor era in combat sports, you see a lot more of people,
Being stupid.
being stupid, opening up the gi jacket, yelling, whatever. I think tensions run high.
Yeah, unnecessary.
Why was there fighting in the old days? It's just there's more.
There's Renzo guys against anybody else on the planet. Those were the fights.
It was more of a team thing.
Team thing, like I think it was the Pan Ams and one other tournament. There was like a corral with like stanchions and ropes that all the Renzo guys had to stay in until they called your fight. Then you can come out of the corral because it would just be fights. Why teams? Yeah, so it was all team related.
Right.
But it had nothing to do with showboating or celebrating, or it wasn't about the me.
When did it start shifting away from the kind of like this is your clan culture to kind of like, oh, I'm going to train here, I'm going to train here, I'm going to train there? Can you think of something that you think changed the way it was done?
Social media.
Really?
Social media and blue belt super fights. That's what is killing the sport. Everybody, I see these, instructionals these people put up, their purple belts and brown belts. Well, good for them for, doing what they do and training. But, you're putting up stuff that's been recycled so many times. You've just seen it so many times. You're not doing it any differently. You're not even explaining it very well. You're showing 3 moves in 1 minute. How well can you explain those 3 techniques? You can't.
No way.
They're techniques I've seen for the past, I don't know, quarter of a century. I've seen those techniques before these people were even born. And they're showing them like it's the latest, greatest thing. It's just they're recycling information, and it's stupid.
We were discussing that on the last episode a little bit, where you were saying like what can you really teach someone in 30 seconds or a minute? And I was, just as I was going through my social media feed, and this guy's trying to show you how to do a kick flip on a skateboard, or this guy's trying to show you how to do this in this recipe in the kitchen. You're absolutely right. There's so much nuance that you're missing. But if you don't know the topic, right? So I don't know anything about, making cakes, for instance. The information that I'm getting in that minute, I'm like, oh, this person obviously knows what they're doing. I can do the same thing, right? But
yeah.
if you understand what's actually going on, you're like, oh, they missed 100 details.
Yeah. Do you want your surgeon learning that way? Seriously.
Like, hold on, let me
check your surgeon to learn in 60-second intervals. He's something that he can't even ask questions, or they can't observe his work and telling him whether it's right or wrong.
No way. I wouldn't even want my auto mechanic doing that.
I wouldn't want a masseuse doing that. Right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. No one gets. You get bits and pieces out of it that may be useful, but unless you have the right person kind of lifeguarding you on what to do and, steering you, it's very difficult.
I find that the only thing is like where it really comes in handy is if you already know the technique and it kind of reminds you that it exists.
Yeah.
Right. But again, that's not the audience it's catered to. It's catered to teaching someone who doesn't know what it is. And that's completely.
I'd like these people to not being, they're doing it slow and they switch. Do it live. Show me you doing it live on someone. That's what I want to see. Show me you doing it live. The next video, you explain it. Then I'll pay attention. But you're showing me something that you may have never pulled off live. Why on earth would I listen to anything you have to say? Correct?
Or you pulled it off on a blue belt when you're a black belt, where you can make anything work at that point, right?
Pull it off live with someone of your equivalent. Then explain it to me how it works. Other than that, you're wasting everybody's time.
Wow. People just
it's about likes and follows. It's not about good jiu-jitsu. It's not about team accomplishments. It's not about supporting the lineage you came from. It's about individual likes, follows.
The me.
Yeah, the me. Yeah. You can't do this alone. You can't do jiu-jitsu alone.
No.
So why is everyone focused on the me, when you need a room full of people to get better?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's a lost, maybe it's a lost art, or I don't know how to call it, of training, where people think that training at this point, I think a lot of people have the perception that training is just, you need other people because you need someone to drill with.
Yeah.
But it goes so much deeper than that when you train with the same people and you trust people, like the people I train with constantly. They know my game. And then if they ask me something about my game, I'll show them how I do something so that they can break it for me. So it doesn't work anymore. So I have to figure out how to get better, right? That takes a lot of relationship. That takes a lot of trust. Takes a lot of teamwork.
You need other people to get better.
That's it.
That's it.
It goes beyond just a body to throw around, right?
It's you need other people to get better. That's the full answer of everything. It's not a solo sport, and you need to train with the right people, doing the right things, with the right supervision. It's not about diet. It's not about, cold plunges or salt baths or saunas or ellipticals or kettlebells. It has nothing to do with any of that nonsense. It is solely about other people on the mat with you. That's how you get better at jiu-jitsu.
There's a saying, I think, you travel alone, you go faster. You travel with a group, you go further.
Yeah.
Definitely. Have you ever seen the movie Ronin with Robert De Niro?
I have.
Late 90s?
Oh, yeah. I saw it.
I that's like required reading for my school. I recommend it to a lot of my new students. I think there's a lot of really good like sayings and perspectives in there. I think apply really well to jiu-jitsu. But we're talking about, the social media blue belt. Reminds me of the I don't know how much.
The Irishman?
Yes, exactly. Exactly, right? He talks the talk and he presents himself a certain way, but there's no substance, right?
What color's the boathouse?
What colors? It's a great scene.
Yeah.
But with the same character, I think a lot about, there's a scene, I'll set it up for people who haven't seen the movie, trying not to spoil it too much. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Ronin, Robert De Niro. Got the French guy, Jean Reno. I think it was in 97. Some of the best car chases, I think.
The best car chases.
In movies. But there's a scene where they're waiting to do some transaction or something, and a couple of these criminals are sitting in a car together, and the Irishman is, he's impatient. He wants something to happen.
Yeah.
And Robert De Niro says, he basically says, good things come to those who wait. He's like, we're not doing anything. He's like, no, we are doing something. We're waiting. And I think about that a lot. I think about that a lot when it comes to jiu-jitsu. So that's a topic I wanted to explore with you a little bit today about
Sure thing.
Like where it fits in jiu-jitsu. I think patience is also like one of those nice attributes where you build it up in life, you can bring it to jiu-jitsu. You build it up in your jiu-jitsu, you can take it out into the world, right?
Absolutely.
It loops in very nicely. But on that note, I'll start off with just a question on the topic, because a lot of people listening are going to be white belts, blue belts a little earlier on. So how would you differentiate patience versus indecisiveness? Like, I'm waiting for the right thing versus I don't know what to do.
Well, either way, doing nothing is probably your best option.
Okay.
Okay. If you're indecisive of which way to go, or if you don't know what to do, probably anything you do is going to work against you.
Okay.
So at that point, I would hunker down and do nothing. Like my bottom of mount, right? Like I'm asleep. And it's better to not make things worse by trying things that are untested and unknown. Like I'm going to throw my arms over here and bridge this. No, you're just going to get yourself in more trouble. You're better off keeping your neck protected, your elbows, arms in, and just see where it goes.
Okay. All right. So kind of stay with the stay within the realm of things you know what the consequences are going to be.
Protect yourself. Just protect yourself.
Protect yourself. I got it. How do you? There is a certain point where you want people to experiment, though.
Sure.
So, what kind of mindset should you be in when you're going into experimenting versus, you know, to maintain patience? First, you get used to being patient, not making the rash decision. Now, what's the change in mindset when you want to start trying things out?
We start trying things. Small moves, small mistakes. Big moves, big mistakes. Small. Start small and work your way up.
Right. Like a science experiment. The less things are changing, the more accurate your data is going to be, right? If you change everything every time, then you don't know if this thing helped, if that thing helped, if that was wrong, if that was wrong.
Change one thing at a time and make it a small move.
Got it. And then
you have to be honest with yourself of what you're getting out of it. Is it better? Is it worse? Did you move forward? Did you move backward? You know, if you can't be honest with yourself and you can't be like a note taker or, you know, kind of hold data in your head, you know, it's not going to help if you don't remember what you did on the last roll.
Right.
If you can't remember what you did, then you're going to have a difficult time getting better.
The data is lost.
Yeah, if this data is lost, well, how are you going to get better?
Right.
Yeah, you have to be able to analyze and be very critical on yourself and very honest with yourself.
Understood. And then the more patient we are, the more it gives us time and space to collect the data, to make sure that the things that we're trying are, you know, coherent, they're reproducible, right?
Yes. Yeah. Anything you do, you have to give it time to, you know, let it happen. You got to let things develop. Right? A lot of people just panic and do anything. I let things develop.
They need something to happen.
We need something to happen.
We need something to happen.
So, you know, if I'm defeating grips, I'm doing it slowly, and maybe I'm not so quick to remove my opponent's hand. Maybe I just want to hold it there, see where they put it, see if they remove it before I have to.
Right.
You know, let things develop. Let the jiu-jitsu work a little bit.
That's a interesting way of phrasing it. Let the jiu-jitsu work a little bit. Something I've been noticing with white belts around 3-4 stripes, kind of getting close to blue belt. You know, the first bit of jiu-jitsu, we spend a lot of time getting out of fight or flight, calming down, learning jiu-jitsu where you are and not, you know, thinking that you need to explode everything. And then they calm down. And then towards the end of white belt, where they have a few techniques under their belt, now anytime they see an opening, they feel like, I got to hit it. I got to go for it. I got to jump on it. So I think that's an interesting perspective of let the jiu-jitsu do the work a little bit.
Yeah. You can't just go from gas to brake, gas to brake, gas to brake, right? You got to let the car idle, let the car move a little bit. You know, instead of gas brake, gas brake, gas brake, bring it in slow and steady.
Right.
So yeah, but you got to let things. Nothing is instantaneous. And, you know, let the pressure build. Let the weight just sit. You know, extend your time on top. The more time I spend on top, the more time you spend carrying my weight.
Absolutely.
So maybe I don't have to go to that choke right now. Maybe I just let it wait a few minutes, not 10, 20 seconds.
Right. An extra breath or two, even, right?
Extra breath or two. Breathe. Compose yourself. Relax. Know what you're going to do. You know, if you have that ability with control to think about all these things, then your jiu-jitsu has gotten better, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
If you have to panic and race to get through everything, your control's not there.
And like you said, that's showing like a lack of trust in your own jiu-jitsu. You're not letting the jiu-jitsu work.
Yeah.
Why do you think people get impatient when they roll? Like they feel like I gotta hit a tech, and I've seen this across all belt levels. I've seen black belts that are impatient. You know,
Because they think there's someone following them with a video camera and they're going to wind up on ESPN Sports Center or something. They just think they're building a highlight reel.
they just gotta fill. They gotta fill the role with content.
Yeah, and also it's personal insecurities. If I don't get this now, I'll never get it.
Interesting.
Right? I'll never get back to this position. How am I going to get back to this position again? This guy's so much better than I am.
Right.
Is he? If you got there once, you should be able to get there again.
I'll even add to that. I think it works the other way also. Like if the person's a lower belt, if I don't tap this person now, I'm not as good as I think I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it's interesting how we feel like we need something out of the role sometimes.
What we need is to learn, but no one puts that into their calculation.
Right.
No one analyzes himself honestly and says, wow, yeah, I got the guy, but I rolled like crap and I got lucky and, they made a ton of wrong moves. They don't analyze it and say, well, I got it because I always tell you, you get it or you get away with it.
Right.
People get away with it and they think they get it.
Some people go into the role, right? So if they're not looking to learn, they need something out of the role. And what they're getting out of the role is some kind of validation, right? Like, oh, look, I'm good at jiu-jitsu, or
tapping. Look who I'm passing guard. Look who I'm doing this. Look at this. You're doing the same thing you've done for years against the same people, and you're bigger than them, more athletic than them. So yeah, congratulations.
Going back to what we talked about at the beginning was me, right?
Me.
Interesting. Do you think there's ways in a role to encourage your opponent to be impatient? Meaning, do you think there's ways to get your opponent in a mental space where they feel like they need to make something happen?
Yeah.
So they get out of their rhythm and they make mistakes?
Absolutely.
Is there a thought process behind that? What do you think gets people triggered to where they take them
outside their comfort zone? Once you take someone outside their comfort zone, doing something that's not in their wheelhouse, not in the normal rolling, they panic. The staple pass.
Right.
Anybody who's comfortable on the bottom of that? No. Right? It takes you out of your element.
Right.
There's other things I do, to other grips and grip breaks I do, that I can just tell that people, as soon as I put it on, they're really uncomfortable, and not with the pain, but just uncomfortable because of the control.
Right. Or even more than that, sometimes they're uncomfortable because we talk about this a lot off air, about they're uncomfortable because it's outside of their encyclopedia of what they know of jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah, it's the unknown. It's something that's not on YouTube.
So we make people uncomfortable. They're in a space they don't know. They're in the dark woods. They don't know the way back home. Now they get impatient. They feel like, I can't just sit here. Something bad's going to happen. I hear the wolves howling.
Yeah. I got to run now. Now I have to run.
I got to run. Right? That's what happens in the horror.
We have to run.
That's what happens in the horror movie, right? They hear the howl, they're in the woods, and they don't know which way to go, but they just got to run in one direction.
They're out in a moonlight walk, and all of a sudden they're running.
They're running. Yeah. I just wanted to take a little bit of a tangent here. Not everybody who's listening has trained with you, or kind of knows that our style of training. Not that we do jiu-jitsu that differently. We have a warm up, we do a technique, and then we roll just like everybody else. But the mindset sometimes is a little bit more different. There's places we go that maybe other schools don't necessarily have the same philosophy or outlook. And one of these is this comfort of getting used to going outside of the realm of jiu-jitsu, right? Yes. I think you told me once, that Renzo said that, like, if it works, it works, right? It doesn't make a difference if it's, approved or has a fancy Japanese name. It either works or it doesn't.
It works or it doesn't.
Right. How do you, when you're teaching, how do you share that with your students of just kind of like, hey, this doesn't need to be side control like everybody else does it?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll show them a conventional head and arm. Then I'll show them my version. I'm like, which one would you rather try to escape from? You know. Then we roll live and I put it on them. It's like, which one's worse? Like, well, your version's worse. So, if you see it in real time, you can appreciate it. Not just say, oh, I don't say this is better because this is how I do it. Get on the bottom, feel it, escape. Show me what you got.
Right.
And then try it on somebody else. You try it. I'm trying to show you how to do it. You put it on somebody and see how you do.
And it forces people also, they can't rely on the muscle memory that they've learned from jiu-jitsu. Now you got to play chess. You really got to think about where the pieces are if they're not where you expect them to be.
Yeah, and I teach the mechanics behind the technique, why it works. Not just do this because I'm telling you to do this. These are the exact steps, and these steps build this kind of structure, this kind of mechanism. This is why it works. This is what will make it fail. This is what will make it work.
Right. I think because of that philosophy, I think patience is like a very important ingredient in the way you teach and the way we train jiu-jitsu, because when you're going into the woods where there's no roads, right, and you're constantly needed to kind of do the math on the mechanisms that are in place, right? Where's this person's arm? Where's this person's foot? This doesn't look like the picture I saw on the front of the instructional video, right? You need to be patient because you need the mind to work to do all the, the problem solving, the figuring out the puzzle. That's not something I feel when you're moving quickly, your mind can catch up to the body. You might have the muscle memory, but the body lies to us a lot, right? It's like, oh, this is half guard. Well, it's not exactly half guard. Or this is side control. It's not exactly side control.
Well, just I'm thinking about anyone I've ever taken a class from Renzo to Jamie Cruz to Ricardo Laborio, Wander Braga, Carlos Gracie Jr., Marcio Feitosa, all the guys I've ever trained with. It's all been A plus B plus C equals D, right? No one has ever explained to me it has to happen at this speed. Look on YouTube or any instructional video. They'll tell you these are the 4 steps to this. No one ever says there's a time frame that it has to happen in, or there's a speed that you have to maintain.
Right.
The student themselves put that on it, right? Well, I have to do it faster because I'm a white belt and they're a blue belt. So I'm going to have to do it faster than them, obviously. That doesn't make any sense. Or I'm 50 and that person I'm rolling is 25, so I have to do it much faster than them. Okay, the person themselves puts that pressure of the time in which it needs to occur on themselves. I've never heard an instructor say it has to happen in this amount of time. Have you?
No.
Yeah. So doing things fast, I don't know where that comes from. But it does. I've seen too many people, even when they drill, they just drill too fast and they're doing it wrong. So why would you do it wrong 50 times when you can do it right 5?
Like you said, they're not trusting the jiu-jitsu.
They're not letting it develop.
They're not letting it develop.
They're not letting it work.
They're trying to fill the gap with athleticism, speed, strength, flexibility, whatever it is, right?
You have to let it work. And like I've always said, speed is a byproduct of repetition, right? It'll get fast on its own when it needs to. But when you first do it super slow.
I think there's a racing proverb, slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Drivers use that. Do you think when it comes to patient speed, do you think there's a difference in the position when you're attacking it versus defending? Do you think there's a more important time, or does it not make a difference? Do you think one person can afford to be more patient than the other?
Well, there's physical speed and mental speed, right? We can separate this.
Okay.
So you should never be patient thinking. You should always be thinking.
Okay.
The problem is most people, their physical clock is turning way faster than their mental clock.
Okay.
Okay. Which means I'm removing the choke when it's fully on rather than making steps when there's one hand in the collar. So in that point, their mental clock is so far behind that they have to spin that physical clock so much faster to try and catch up.
Right.
Okay? You have to have your mental clock running real time and reacting real time as things happen. That way your physical clock can move, it can slow down.
Got it. So
Does that make sense?
Yeah. You got to be doing the calculations the whole time.
Yeah, you got to be crunching numbers.
You got to be crunching numbers. The numbers,
the whole time.
You don't necessarily have to do anything with the numbers right away.
You just have to know they're there, know what they are.
Know they're there, right?
Yeah.
The person's arm is there, the person's leg is there. This is the position. These are the attacks that could occur. These are the escapes that could occur. These are the movements.
Yeah, he's creeping in my half guard with a little more pressure, getting closer. He's close enough where that hand can reach deep in my collar. You know, at that point, it's like I should probably do something about that.
Right.
You know, if someone's that close, and you know, okay, he's within gripping distance of a pretty deep, you know, collar grip.
Right.
Let me act on that before it becomes a problem.
Right. And
once it becomes a problem, that's when the physical speed goes off the rails, right?
And the more calculations you can do, the faster you can do that, the more you can be like, well, maybe I'll let him grab something because I know that if he grabs it, there's something else around there rather than needing to run to put the fire out immediately as well, right?
That way you're ahead of him mentally then, aren't you?
Right.
Yes. So that's what it is. You have two clocks that run, mental and physical. You know, people work too much of the physical and not enough the mental.
You're absolutely.
Yeah.
It's hard to work the mental.
That's what mat time is for.
Right.
Paying attention, being present when you roll, knowing what happened, and not just sugarcoating it to make yourself feel better. Oh, I had him the whole time. He couldn't do anything.
Right. Yeah.
Did he? You know, is that the same role I was looking at?
How do you think? I think this next point is maybe even more applicable to day-to-day life, but maintaining patience is how would you describe the relationships with being patient and being able to stay comfortable or relaxed in I shouldn't say shitty, in poor situations? Well,
in jiu-jitsu or life?
Either or.
In jiu-jitsu, I've said before, and it's it doesn't sound cliche now, but you have to have confidence in your jiu-jitsu. You know, if you're confident in what you can do, it's very easy to stay patient. You don't panic. I think the opposite of patience is panic. Right?
Yeah.
When you're fighting, it's panic.
Absolutely.
You know, and patience could even be more of an indifference. Right? That's another word we can use in there.
But we were talking before about how people sometimes need a result because of the me, right? Yeah. I need to get this tap in order to feel better about myself or to show that I'm better. But if you're indifferent, you don't need the result. You don't need.
No, you're just there. You're in the moment, and you're looking to learn. And maybe you're learning. You know, you're not. Maybe their goal is to learn how to tap someone, right? That's what they're saying. My learning is I want to be better at what I do, be able to explain it better. Right? We learn a lot of things to teach as we roll.
Right. And
maybe how to explain it better to some people. And just to be a better person, really. You know, and in general, in everything. That's what patience and, you know, some indifference, you know, be indifferent to that guy behind you honking the horn the whole time.
That's right. Indifferent.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Be indifferent to that, you know, person trying to figure out their lunch order in front of you and they're going through the entire menu asking questions. Be indifferent. I know it's easier said than done, but you know, maybe we can learn something in life that we already have in jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely. And that'll make life easier if you're able to shrug those off, right?
Yeah. Me, I just have to never leave my house. That's how I stay calm.
I would not stay calm if I never left my house. We have you can hear the sirens half the time swinging by when we're recording. So
yeah.
So you're doing something interesting in Vero Beach. I know we've talked about it before a few times, but the the clinics that you're doing, first one's coming up in like 2 weeks, I think.
2 weeks, yeah, 4th of July weekend.
4th of July weekend, like July 3rd to July 7th, I think.
That's correct, yes.
But even though it's a jiu-jitsu clinics, there is an emphasis as well on lifestyle.
Lifestyle, the Gymnastica Naturale is of course in there, the body movement and mobility. And it's just, there's a different way to live. Okay, and I'm not going to tell people there's a different way to make money. There's a different way to pursue careers. I'm not telling anyone that, but there's just a different way to look at everything that you do, right? Jiu-Jitsu is not the only thing we do, right? I spend more time in the water, more time at the beach, try to just keep my heart rate low. I try to eat better. I try to just, like I said before, be a better person in general. And, the jiu-jitsu and the gymnastica are just, they're the gateway drug for me to being better all over. So
one of the things I've been thinking about is like as instructors, like how do we teach patients? How do you instill that in students, right? So what I'm hearing you describe, better lifestyle, it's almost describing kind of living like that. You exercise a little bit more, you get a little bit more sun. You're a little bit more conscious about what you're eating. I already feel like the blood pressure coming down for the listeners, which it makes it easier to be patient because you're not high emotion all the time.
Yeah, well, I remember what Carlinhos said to me in Brazil. I said, how come you don't ever train on the weekends? He's like, my man, he's like, weekends are for the family. Weekends are for the beach. Weekends are for dancing or whatever they're doing. He's like, why would you train on the weekend if you trained all week?
Right.
I was like, well, some people can't train all week because they work. He's like, well, if you don't have balance in your life, you'll never have balance in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
So that's why I never had Saturday classes.
Right.
Because you shouldn't be training Saturday. Doing other things.
That's why the smarter instructor at the 47 BJJ Co-op wouldn't allow me to have Monday classes.
See, Monday's a big class. I like Mondays. Monday's back from
the beginning of the week.
I'd rather have just Monday through Friday, and that's it.
She just wanted to make sure that we didn't have we had some days where we're closed for that reason.
Well, actually, I'm not going to be open on the weekends. I'm just going to have that one free gymnastics class on Sundays at 11:30. That's my only weekend class, and it's a community class.
Do you guys do that at the beach?
No, we occasionally meet on Saturdays.
Okay, but that's separate. The community classes, it's open. Is it open? It's like a trial, like they can come in and check it out.
They can come in anytime. Okay. It's a free class for anybody who wants to come.
That's awesome. What time do you normally do it on Sundays?
11:30. It's a 45-minute class. It's free to anybody, anytime. So if you want to come every Sunday, it's free.
Okay, that's awesome. In Vero Beach, right?
Yes, it's my kind of community class, which I think is good. It gives people, and it's not like a regular gymnastica class. I'll show 2 techniques, and we'll so for the existing students who want to come, they're getting better at what they do. And for people off the street, I'm not going to overwhelm them with a whole class that crushes them. We're just working on 2 techniques and trying to get it better.
Got it. Awesome. And how do they get, like, if they want to come, do they just show up or do they call, email?
Anything you want to do. You just want to show up? Show up. I'm there.
Okay, awesome. I've been putting the contact for the school, the website, your Instagram. It should be in the description below for anybody.
Awesome. Thank you.
Guys out. And also, if you guys want to reach out to us in Brooklyn, we have a smaller space, so our time's a little bit more limited, but the info is there as well. But I do just want to circle back before we wrap up so with students and patients, there is one other layer also. So there's the patience of how we roll and how we approach rolling, but also I've found jiu-jitsu takes a long time to learn.
Yes.
And people need to be patient with themselves as well. Everyone learns at a different rate, which I think also makes things more difficult because, you have somebody who's 40, 45 who just started doing jiu-jitsu, and then, the 25-year-old kid that comes in who wrestled through high school and no animosity or whatever, but he looks over his shoulder, and this guy who already has a lot of these body mechanics and his muscle memory is picking up the jiu-jitsu much faster, and then there's like a lot of like, well, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get it?
Yeah.
How do you work with students to overcome that a little bit? Or do you give encouragement? Do you withhold encouragement? How do you?
I always tell people you learn the technique when you're ready to learn it. Sometimes you just don't see it because you haven't been exposed to a lot of different things, but there's going to come a point where you're suddenly exposed to it in a role or something, and then you get it. But I know I've had people say, I show a technique like, wow, I've never seen this before. And I'm like, I know I've showed this to you at least 3 times. Right? They don't even remember it.
Yep.
So it's when you are supposed to learn it, you learn it. And you can't be, that's another thing with patience. You're not going to get everything on the first try.
Not at all. Yeah. No, I remember you telling me that when I was a blue belt as well. And it's really funny because there's certain techniques you might have showed me 3-4 years ago. Actually, we'll talk a little bit about some techniques of the week in a moment here as well. But there's some techniques you've shown, and then, I never use them. They might be just in the back. I drill them a couple times, but they didn't fit. And then one day you just hit it one time and you're like, oh,
it goes right here.
And then that's it. And then all of a sudden it's, it's part of the day-to-day.
Yeah, that's exactly how jiu-jitsu works. Not every technique is for you right now.
Right.
In 5 years, it may pop up and think, okay, it fits right here. This is where I need it.
So as students, sometimes we just got to believe in the process. I'm going to show up. I'm going to intentionally train, right? We're going to collect our data. We're going to try to, and it'll come together. You just got to give it time.
Just takes time. Patience.
On that note, as we wrap up, are there any techniques you've been working on in the school? Any, we were discussing a little bit off camera about, as we teach new students, emphasizing more things you shouldn't be doing rather than trying to give them like this, because jiu-jitsu goes on and on. So sometimes it's more productive to say, hey, just don't put your hand on the hot stove.
Yeah. Well, the new rule I have at the school is if you're a white belt, you can't ask me what to do in a position. You're only allowed to ask me what not to do. If you're stuck on the bottom of side control and can't get out, the question is, hey, what don't I want to do here? Okay, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. Okay, keep going.
Is there a specific position or something that came up, like a what not to do that stuck with you this week that you want to share with listeners?
I was explaining to them about the guard. And when you're in the top, when you're passing, you don't put your hands on the mat. And in the guard, when you're on the bottom, you don't put your feet on the mat. I said, that's a hard no. It'll never work as a white belt, and it won't work as a black belt either.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
hands on the mat when you're passing is generally a recipe for disaster.
Yes, your arm's going to get trapped. And putting your foot to the mat when you're in guard means your foot, you're going to lose it to a butterfly.
Right.
So, yeah, they're both hard no's in my book.
Can I ask you, maybe it'll turn to be a what not to do, but what I've been playing with this week, which I never really use, has been lapel chokes, like grabbing your own jacket and looping it around.
Okay, yeah.
I've also been trying to incorporate, most people won't know this, but if you've ever seen Birdman techniques, using the lapel to set up the armbar, like instead of an underhook, you show it from the back, but I've been playing around with it from different positions where it doesn't look like there's an armbar there, but the lapel is stuck under the armpit, so when you get to the position, you can yoink it out.
Yeah.
Are there any no's you would think about, either when someone looks like they're grabbing your lapel or is coming at you with their lapel, or when you're trying to set up one of these techniques? Are there any rules you would think about to color within the lines there?
Well, which one? I mean, there's if someone's grabbing my lapel, coming at me with their lapel.
Let's go with defense. If you're on bottom of side control and the person on top has their lapel in their hand, what are things not to do?
Not to do. First, you don't want to panic, and you don't want to turn away. Okay. You don't want to wait too long. You don't want to lift your head off the mat. You want to keep your head as far on the mat as possible. So you don't want to lift your head up. And I don't want to expose my arms. I still want to keep my elbows in.
That
right there.
I feel like that's the number one thing people want to do when they see the lapel gun. It's like in my mind, it's like the Jaws soundtrack, that dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
And people just reach out to grab the lapel because they don't, and then okay, I'll armbar you.
So those are all the don'ts, right?
Right.
So the do's as a white belt could get you into trouble, couldn't they?
Sure.
So if you do all the don'ts and you frustrate your opponent and you're not doing anything, they might move to a different position, right?
Which is what we want.
Which is what we want. We want our opponents to move without us having to initiate them, right? But the initiation is not giving them mistakes.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right. Thank you for that. Any closing thoughts before we say goodbye to our listeners?
Yeah, get on top, stay on top.
Get on top, stay on top. Yeah. Excellent advice. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any comments, leave them down below. We're always looking for new things to talk about, or if there's anything that comes up that you need clarification on, or if you think Thai food is good, whatever. I think it's good. I just think it's overrated.
Yeah.
On that note, we'll see you guys next time. Enjoy. Our info's down below. And look out for some instructional videos maybe coming from John or I in the next few weeks as well. Take it easy, guys.
Take care.